Wow.
Lawrence.
Yes. Are we recording? Are we just
Yeah.
going straight off?
Yeah, we're just recording.
All right.
We're just going
I
straight
love that.
off. Me
I
too.
love
I know you love that. And I know that I love that. And since we both love it, everything's going to be fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's Friday. It's weird weather here but I mean it was snowing like a blizzard before. I don't know what's going on. The
The
global
heck?
warming stuff is out of control. That's all I can say. It's snowing, then it's sunny. Who knows what's going on?
Who knows what's going on? Yeah, I remember like probably 15 years ago or something like this. It was in Hamburg and it was snowing in April at Easter time. And we
Yeah.
thought like maybe we shouldn't celebrate Easter on Christmas Eve or something. Anyway, we're talking about the news. We're having a ChessBase news review. It's a new
We are.
format. Let's see how this is going. Let's have some fun about this. We both took three different themes of what we're talking about from the last week, and in order to determine who will start, I'll have a black and a white pawn,
Oh,
and I'll
okay.
just mix them up behind my back, and now you will take left or right.
All
From
right. I'll
from
take left.
so left is no left.
Le- no, left is the one under. Your left.
So this one here.
Yeah,
And it is white. You will start. Let me
I
just
start.
quickly switch to the correct screen. Oops, I'm already on the wrong one. So let's see. How do I do this again? Ah, yeah. Boom. There we go. So let's. What do you want to start with? Let's put
Well,
this here
I
on the
will
side.
start with the main news item, and it's a very sad piece of news. Unfortunately, this show is going to have the majority of news is going to be happy and inspiring, but of course, we're going to get some slightly unfortunate news, and that's the news that Petra Korchnoi, uh, who I met various times. I actually played Victor Korchnoi over the
Huh.
board, which
Wow.
was a huge honor for me.
Honorable. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, a huge honor. Back in, I think it was, I can't even remember actually. I'd have to look up the game. Probably about 10 years ago now.
Hmm.
Um,
So pretty
yeah, and
recent even. Yeah. But he was so strong.
he was
Even
incredibly strong. I mean, he we played a
unbelievable.
7 hour game. He still beat me. He was still around 2600. So I mean, he was still incredibly strong. But Petra was always by his side. She came to every
Yeah.
tournament, and she had this patented kind of. She would always be in the room or near the room if she could be in reading. That's what she was always doing. She always used to
Cute.
read a book or a newspaper or whatever it was, and she was a very charming woman. And unfortunately, uh, yeah, she passed away apparently
Yeah.
this week. She had a very long life, 93 years of age, so extremely long life. Of
Impressive.
course,
Yes.
yeah. Victor died. When did Victor die? About
It,
4 years ago now,
yeah.
I think.
2016. It says here.
Yeah,
This is the article by Frederick Friedel,
yeah,
and of course he knew Viktor Korchnoi and Petra very well too. And yeah, it's nice to read this. And yes, it's I like that you start with something which is a bit to think of and to even have an anecdote about this. Yeah,
yeah.
I actually I didn't even know about her until I read the article.
Oh, right.
So yeah. So yeah, this is how it happens. It's yes, this is kind of yeah, it is as it is. You know that at one point the people who are very inspiring to you, who have like an impact to you, who you know personally, especially when they're older, you know, at one point that's how life is. It will end at one point, but then
Well,
it happens, and then you're still like, oh God, wow, it just happened. This is a thing which is part of the life, but you still like are grieving. And I think it's okay to grieve and also think about the nice moments you had. And you remember this story that she was always reading something, and how
yeah.
nice that
I
she was always there with him.
She was always there, and she was well, another thing that I remember about her, which was so nice, was that she was always really nicely dressed for an older lady. You know,
Indeed.
she was always like color coded, matching. You know what I mean?
Yes,
She always took pride in her appearance, which I thought was really nice.
that's cute.
Even when she came to tournaments where the hall wasn't that nice or something,
She was lighting it up.
Yeah, she was kind of, yeah, she was lighting it up. She used to wear very colorful things.
Oh,
I remember that. I only had a few brief conversations with her, obviously having played Victor and seeing her in the commentary room, for example, in the London Chess Classic. Victor used to come to the London Chess Classic a lot when he was a bit more able. Then he got more frail and it became more difficult. But yeah, so on one hand, very sad news, but on the other hand, we can be very thankful that she lived a very, very long life, very fulfilled life. She also had, from my understanding, a very, very tough childhood. I think, if I remember, I could be wrong here, but I vaguely remember the fact that she lived through some serious hardship as a child. And we're talking about, I don't know if it was the pogroms or something like that, but certainly very, very difficult childhood, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that, but I think I've got that right.
yeah.
So the fact that she was an extremely strong woman, that's what I do remember.
Yes.
And yeah, she'll be somebody to remember in the world of chess.
Yeah, indeed. Yes. So yeah, that's a good point you made here.
Yeah.
It's a nice article. Of course, Frederick just always writes
Yes.
so nice articles. So yeah, worth a read. Also to just know
Certainly.
about her, just like me. Yeah, that's something to start with. But yes, I like that. I wasn't sure. I saw this today, and I thought like, is this something which you might pick as a choice? And yes, you were brave enough to go for it. So I like this. Okay, let me light.
Okay,
this.
what are you going for?
I'm going for where is it? Let me start with, because I don't know where the other one is. I'm on the right page. Yeah, it's English. Here it is. Okay, so let me go for Robert Rees. Fast and
Yes.
Furious. His show is back again, luckily.
Yes.
I am enjoying it so much, but of course, this is made for me. It's a niche he's touching with his show, with getting all those super weird and interesting, fun openings like the Halloween Gambit. So of course, it's not really the Halloween time at the moment, but yeah, he's talking about one of my favorite opens, which I never ever could play overboard because nobody's ever willing to play a 4 nights game against me. So very unfortunately, I had a couple of blitz games, and it was always beautiful games. So in his nice manner, I think you cannot hear him when I'm putting the video on.
Welcome back again to the Fast and
No,
Furious.
I can't hear him.
Yeah,
no.
but he's very entertaining with his show, and talking nicely about what opportunities you can have, what to aim for, what to look for. His show is just like so genuinely fun to watch. And oh wow, I didn't even, this is not I thought this was a Halloween Gambit, of course, on the real board with Wojtaszek and Caruana. Well, that would have been a bit too far, right? Anyway,
Probably a little bit too much. Yeah.
What's your take on the Halloween Gambit? Is it just a fun troll opening, or
I mean, there are a lot of things out there at the moment. The Halloween Gambit, the Stafford Gambit, all of these kind of, and they're all, obviously they don't work, but that's not really the point, right? They're good for one-offs. They're good for some blitz games, But if if a serious player knows what he's doing, he's gonna beat these openings. But yeah, they're fun to look at, obviously.
They are. And the Halloween Gambit is definitely different from one of my favorite openings of all time. And you made one of my favorite Fritz trainers of all time. I didn't want to push in the advertisement right now.
Okay.
It's just happening. Albin's Counter Gambit. It is just amazing.
Well,
and you've explained it so well on your Fritz trainer that it is actually, it's solid. It is really a solid thing. You can play it. And I've found some new variations through your Fritz trainer, which nobody has seen before. I'm playing them regularly, and I'm having really good results with them.
Yeah, well, the Albin Counter Gambit that you can get, as you said, Arne, if you go to the ChessBase shop and get it, it's one of my most proud pieces of work. I really put a lot of effort into that series. And what I've realized is that this opening is far from dead. It's one of the more solid, well, not solid, let me rephrase that. It's one of the more sound gambit ideas out there. So if you compare, for example, the Albin counter gambit to the King's gambit, I think the King's gambit is much more dubious. And of course, white can get perfectly good position, as he should against any gambit. But the great thing about the Albin is that you often just get a very, very playable position. So if you're interested in learning a new opening, which is very reliable and is a gambit and is very spicy, then go and check out my series on the Albin, available from
I'm going to the shop right now. I'm just
You're going to pull that up for people.
Yeah. Come on. Look how much you changed.
I know.
Hardly
it's
at
called
all.
balding.
It's called balding. You look a bit like a gangster with the hoodie too and with the beard. So it's
Yeah, I'm going more for the gangster. You know, I'm in Berlin now, so that was when I was in Hamburg. Probably that photo. So you've got to adapt to the city you live in, right?
Nice one. Okay, let's go back to the news. So yeah, what's your next thing?
So the next one that I found, which I thought was very interesting, actually, was the one titled "Emil and the Detectives."
Oh yes.
And this was a great little article written by Gady Kostev, who's a composer himself.
There it is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
and it's great. So this article talks about a new kind of generation of composers. In the past, composers, if we think of the famous composers, they were all quite old, or at least,
indeed,
you know, they were experienced players that turned composers. And now we're getting younger guys who are, getting into the world of composing chess positions, and super young guys as well. This article talks about a young chap called James Malcolm, who I don't know, Ilya Serafimovich, who I also don't know, Ben Smolkin, I don't know,
never heard of those names before either. Yeah,
don't know them. Ben Smolkin, Itai Richardson, also born in 2006. I mean, we're talking about 15-year-old kids here, right? And then the only guy I do know is Christopher Yu. Now, Christopher Yu, I know because first and foremost, he's beaten me up a fair few times on the internet. And I actually met him, and he used to travel to tournaments with his dad, or maybe still does. He used to come. I saw him at the Isle of Man, for example. I've seen him, I think, in Gibraltar. So he used to come to Europe. And I met him actually many years ago, believe it or not, when he was still 2,200 or something. But my goodness, you could see how strong he was. I mean, he was playing blitz with people. And he was just crushing them. And it was just clear he was going to be a very good player. He's an IM. He's already very high rated, and he's undoubtedly going to be a GM. He's only 15 years old. He's an IM already. But apparently he's also a very good composer. And, you know, if you're able to compose at such a young age, it really talks a lot about, or it really says a lot, I should say, about your natural talent for the game of chess, right? Your spatial recognition, the way you can formulate patterns, remember patterns, ideas. It's a very special thing. I've never been such a big composer guy. Like, I appreciate a very good problem. I've always been horrible at solving problems, to be honest. But I think it says a lot about your natural talent. So when I think of, you know, the UK has produced a number of great solvers. Jonathan Mestel, John Nunn, McDowell. We've had some world champions in the world of composing. I don't know about you, Arne. Do you ever tackle these kind of...
Yes, if they're right in front of me, I'm willing to go for it and check out if I can get a hint or an idea of what's going on the board. For example, I mean, this is like the castling in 76 problem. This is something which is intimidating. White castles in 100 moves.
Yeah,
and this is it's so much fun. Yes, it is ridiculous. And then
it's ridiculous.
But this sticks to you, first of all, because it's very creative. I love creative stuff. This is the reason I love chess. in the first place, because it is creative, and stuff like this is just very creative. Like castle in 100 moves, that's a nice, interesting problem or idea of how to make a chess problem work in a different way, like not checkmate in 2 or something. That is something very, very interesting, where you have to have some creativity. But I myself, normally I love to invent things and build up things. So I made 1 or 2 chess problems very, very long ago, and I forgot how they were going. And it was a really cool problem. I made in 5, and I forgot how the position was. So that's my story about how I was composing. Have you ever composed anything yourself?
No,
Have
never
you ever
composed.
tried?
No, not even tried. It's not even been something that I've thought of doing at any stage, actually. So it's not been a passion of mine. Maybe one day it will be, but at the moment not.
Anyway, just we have our replayer here. You can replay all the solutions down here. It's very, very interesting. It's very entertaining. And as you just said, Lawrence, keep an eye open for Christopher Yu. I think, didn't he? Is he American? Yeah, right.
I think who? Christopher Yu? Yeah, Christopher's American.
Yeah, and he played in the American championship, like with Morabia Diabadi, and I think it was pretty darn good. He was doing a good job. I think that's my memory about him. But anyway, Christopher Yu, it's a name we will hear far more often in the future. Next super talent. Yeah. Emil and the Detectives. Is this actually, I mean, do you know about the story? Have you ever heard of what Emil and the Detectives is?
No, I don't know about the story.
Yeah,
actually.
Because I think it's not an English thing. It's just
right.
It's a story. It's a children's book by Erich Kästner, very famous German writer, beautiful writer, and so witty with his words, and made beautiful children's books. I read them all the time back then.
Right.
And Emil and the Detectives is one, playing in Berlin, by the way, as far as I know, if I remember it correctly. And it's about Emil, who is a detective, and he has his friends, and they're solving problems. Beautiful, lovely story.
Cool.
I hope I got this right. Otherwise, please comment that I got everything wrong. Maybe I'm mixing it up completely. Anyway, that's a good point. Emil and the Detectives. Let's take a look. I had this is really stuck to me, and I don't know why. Endgame Riddle, did Kasparov miss a chance? It's by Carsten Müller. So there are countless articles, ideas, stories about the matches between Kasparov and Karpov, and the World Championship match in 1984, 1985. Between them was extraordinary. It was how many games were there? Plenty, 48 games. I think it was. Imagine that today.
Yeah, crazy, crazy.
Right, but then back then it was appreciated, and the culture in which we're living in is either going for super fast or binge watching a series till the very end for the whole weekend.
Right, exactly.
That's a funny thing how the culture has shifted a little bit. Anyway, it's about this position between Karpov and Kasparov. And I was checking it out a couple of days ago, and I thought, like, I'm not good in endgames. I don't like endgames. I thought I was improving a couple of months ago, but apparently I wasn't, because I'm still losing in the end games. If you ever want to win a game against me, just try to capture all the pieces and then play an end game against me. But that's our little secret. Anyway, it's about this position here. Karpov is white, has a pawn more. Just quickly, end games, would you consider yourself good being a good endgame player? Also?
Terrible endgame player. One of the worst things I'm doing in chess is my endgame play sucks. I think I briefly spoke to you. I'm going for my GM title at some point this year. Maybe we can discuss that on another show. But
yes,
a big part of what I'm going to be doing is doing a lot of endgame work.
Excellent.
Because I do seem to screw up quite a lot.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this endgame. So white's a pawn up.
White's a pawn up. White made the move took the rooks got exchanged, and the king took the rook on d1, and that is kind of where the whole endgame starts. So the story about this is that there was a game prize by the chess informant, and Karpov won it with this particular game, and he won $800, and Kasparov, still as the loser, won $200. The prize was $1,000. So back then, Jan Timman was the one who would give the prizes $800 to Karpov and $200 to Kasparov. So far, so good. But when he went to Kasparov, Kasparov said, as Kasparov is sometimes, I refuse this money. I don't want this money for this prize for this particular game. And Jan Timman said, why? What's good? Come on, relax. And he said, no, I'm not relaxing. This game was terrible. Terrible game. So many mistakes. And he was like upset and doing his Kasparov movements while being a bit furious. And he explained it to Timman. So Timman went home, checked out the position in the game, and then he said, like, okay, I get your point. It was pretty bad game, end game wise, from both sides. So yeah,
right.
So that's kind of the premise of this whole thing. It is a bit, yeah. And there were a lot of comments too, trying to solve this. And Kastenmüller, as always, he's engaging very much with Kastenmüller, endgame god. That's how I like to call him.
He is an endgame god, yeah.
The position is, let's just briefly look over it. So there's one pawn more, and if I would be white, probably you two, maybe not you, I doubt actually, although you say you're terrible with endgames, but I would probably lose this against any player who's a bit better against than me in the rating. There's one crucial part in the game. Let's just move to this part where it gets a bit tricky. Also, I want to ask you one more question right in response to this. So, yeah, this is where it gets difficult, because this rook tries to get the pawn on h2, and it's not enough to move the h3 pawn forward, because this pawn advances too fast, and at one point he is just unstoppable. I think this was kind of particular little mistake. Yeah, and at that point, I personally thought, like, after this move, for example, bishop to c6, having this diagonal stopping the pawn to advance, of course, why doesn't he play bishop to e4? Doesn't this stop everything in the end? And no, it doesn't stop everything at all. I put on the engine, of course. You can always put on the engine, and you see black is completely lost. And when you make this move, then you just takes rook h7. It's very simple, actually. Yeah. It's super easy. But these are the things which this is the reason I'm so terrible in endgames anyway. So you're
not terrible.
I trust me. I really am. Yeah, this is the whole game, and this is where it ends. It's a nice finish, and people are talking about this now. One question, I'm not sure if you can answer it, but then I want to leave it. It's for you, to the viewer, to check out this endgame. It is fairly interesting, and it's good for training, obviously. If you have this position here, king d1, and you put on the engine says, like, okay, there is a pawn more, and that's it. I wonder, like, with engines having a rating of 3,700 or more, and with this immense power, who can beat any human anytime, why can't they figure this out? Do you know the answer to this? Why wouldn't you just go, like, put this position into the engine, and the engine will go like, okay, this is clearly winning because of this and this and that and that.
So you're asking why an engine can't figure out why this is winning, this position, or a draw?
Yeah, I mean, I remember that engines have it's the most difficult thing are the end games in the end.
Yes. So. I don't know the exact answer to that. I mean, there are better people qualified in your, in ChessBase to answer that question. I do know there's, issues of depth and still trying to understand when things are there are drawing constructions and not being able to see that far off, and so Yeah, the answer is I don't know. But of course, when the engines do get to a stage where you can just give them this position and it gives you a definitive answer as to whether it's winning or not. Because at the moment, the engine says it's plus 1.14,
Yes.
which to my eyes means exactly what it means. White is better. He's got an extra pawn, but it's not clear whether this is winning or not. If we get to a point in the future where the engine can just say this is winning definitively, in a position like this, then we're going to be very close to solving chess, right? Because there is just so much still on the board. But if the engine can say with 100% accuracy white wins, that's going to be scary.
Yeah,
that's going to be scary.
Yeah, and this was just my little thought. Probably a bit of a silly thought in the end because people know this, but this is one thing I want to learn with you, the viewer, the listener, or maybe with you, Lawrence, because I will ask questions which might be absolutely clear sometimes, and maybe you or somebody else can explain to me what is actually going on. And with this, I leave this example. I just say it's worth trying out, checking it out. It's a nice position. It's interesting. Maybe give it a shot. Don't look at the comments yet, and try to figure out if there is a chance to draw this with black. Yeah, that's that for me. Okay. You have one more left. Let's go for it.
Yes, one more. So the last one I wanted, well, I'll do something more tournament related, okay? Sure. Because, I've covered it in my weekly show, and it is the Magnus Carlsen Invitational. So excellent. We saw yesterday that we actually had pretty incredible. So if you just go to the
from
the
yesterday,
latest,
this one?
Yeah, this one here, exactly.
Excellent, yes.
So we saw yesterday the semifinals of the Magnus Carlsen Invitational. It's Giri So and Nepomniachtchi versus Carlsen, and we had really an incredible day of chess where, as it turns out, it was quite a shocking day because Magnus Carlsen actually lost the first match of this tournament to Jan Nepomniachtchi. That means Magnus. Yeah. That means Magnus has to win today. No other thing. He has to win the match. If he doesn't win the match, Jan will go to the final. And Anish Giri actually beat Wesley So, who,
top form. Wow.
Yeah. Well, Wesley So for many people is playing the best chess,
this year,
basically out of anybody at the moment. And Nepomniachtchi played a really nice game with the black pieces to beat Magnus, and he got exactly the kind of position that he should get against Magnus. If you look at the, where is it?
The win is
should be, that's just 2.1. That's weird.
No. Oh wait, no. It's all of the rounds.
That's
here,
weird. Right? That the game isn't there.
Just now.
That's super weird that that's not there. Oh, there it is. No, that's against Nakamura.
No, exactly. Yeah, that is funny indeed. Yeah. Well, what if
maybe it's the Wesley So game is duplicate. I don't know what's happening there. Nepomniachtchi definitely beat Carlsen with black. Let's put it like that. So we'll try and get the game online. But Nepomniachtchi was very clever with his opening choice.
Yes.
He got Magnus into a very sort of double-edged position. And if you get Magnus into that kind of game... Oh, here it is. Wait, what?
No, that's still the draw, I think.
Go down. But he won this.
Did he win?
Go to the final position. No, this is winning for black. So this is badly...
This is just an error from...
is just an error,
absolutely, you're right. Okay, well, at least we have the position, which is great, so we can take a look at this for a little bit. So
yeah, let's just quickly look at this. Excellent. We'll go through this game super fast.
Yeah, sure.
So the game was, he played the Vienna. So if we go to move 4...
Yes.
You flick through. Or you can probably click the arrow. Yeah. This move D takes C4, E4, and B5. Yeah, this is a very newish way to play the Vienna. Previously, everybody was playing Bishop B4, pinning the knight. You go E5, knight D5, and knight takes B5. The knight then comes back to B6. It looks like a really stupid opening from black because you've got doubled pawns and you move your knight a bunch.
Indeed,
but actually, the idea is that you get this bishop on this long diagonal. So let's say knight C6, castles like this, bishop E7. Let's flick through. A queen D2 is a very weird move, but apparently it's theory. And now black gets his bishop on b7, rook d1, queen d7, knight c3. And now the knight, very standard, comes to b4, looking at that d5 square. Excuse me, that d5 square. A3, knight d5. Knight e4, and now queen c6. And so black has lined his pieces up on this long diagonal.
Yeah.
And after rook e1, because there might be some knight move lurking, he now castled on the long side. And this is precisely the sort of position that I said I think is an excellent idea. It's simply very unclear. Opposite side castling. Black has got a clear idea of just running these pawns up the board on the king side. I don't see how white attacks because black has got this pawn on c4. It's very awkward. White can't really attack easily. And Jan is very, very capable in these positions. He's much more capable in these compared to dry positions, especially against Magnus.
Yeah, so he got him right where he wanted to.
So what I'm trying to say is that Jan was extremely clever in his opening choice, and that paid dividends, and he won the match. And now, for the first time, Magnus is on the back foot. Now, of course, Magnus is more than capable of closing the gap today, but Jan needs to play more like this. I think today it will be a mistake for Jan to go into passive mode and just try and,
to hold this.
Victory,
right?
You can't do. No, you've got to play like this. Beautiful. If you go to move 26, bishop c3.
All right.
So if we go back one move here.
Sorry. Yep.
Yeah, so in this position here, we got a really wild position. But look at this move by Jan Nepomniachtchi, the next move. Knight to f4. Wow. I mean, just a pure knight sacrifice. G takes f4. Yeah, looking at everything. But it's not clear because the knight on h4 protects g2. And now just rook g4. And amazingly, there's no way to save the piece. Yeah, you have to go h3.
Wow. Now I see it. Yeah, of course.
So you go h3, takes. And now we've got a beautiful position. Queen f3, king a6. And you put this knight on d5, and this knight is an absolute monster. So that's why Magnus tried d5 himself, but it just didn't work. This whole thing with takes, queen d5, giving up the exchange, trying to expose this black king, just wasn't good enough. Rook g6, king f1, and now the queen came back, and Jan managed to convert this ending quite simply. It's just an extra exchange.
Let's jump a little bit forward. Oh wait, was already there. Yeah, this was the end game. Yeah, good. Thank you for finding that little mistake here. That it was actually the game. This looks. Look at all the pawns on the fourth row.
Well, he's got all the pawns. The king can advance into the position.
Yes. Yeah. That looks terrifying. So, what's your prediction for the game now?
Well, I think I don't know. It's a difficult one. I have a feeling Magnus is going to win today, the match. I don't know how he's going to do it, and they're going to set it up for a finale. And in the other match, Wesley So, I also think, is going to win. So I think we're going to have two deciding matches.
Oh, this would be great.
Good for the fans.
Absolutely, it's good.
So you can watch the commentary, of course. That's very important. If you want to watch it on ChessBase,
indeed,
on Play Chess, you can watch it.
And it's nice because he's doing it in such a beautiful, emotional way. I think it's very, very nice with the commentary. It's very, very entertaining in the end. Excellent. Yeah, I have one last theme too, and then we're done with the show for today.
Okay.
So I was also looking at the Invitational, of course, and there was, let's go to the fun part, of course. There was like this amazing game between Magnus Carlsen and Hikaru Nakamura, which was the Bunk Cloud. Actually, the double Bunk Cloud, and after 6 moves, it was a draw.
Yeah. What do you think about this, Arne?
Yeah, so I actually wanted to ask you first, but now since you asked me first, I thought it was fun and entertaining. And because there is a backstory, especially to Nakamura and to Carlsen, because of the Bunk Cloud. First of all, Nakamura is playing the Bonk Cloud regularly on his chess channel. He's streaming it all the time. He's talking about this. He's making memes about it. People are making memes about him. And he actually played the Bonk Cloud against whom was it? I forgot. Was it?
I don't know who it was against.
Anyway, he won the game in the end with the Bonk Cloud. And after that, in the interview with Magnus Carlsen, people were asking him, what did you think about Hikaru's choice of playing the king to e2? And Carlsen was pretty solid with his answers and also said, like, yeah, I mean, of course, there's a little bit of a disadvantage. But and after the question, what would you play, Magnus? Magnus answered, I would probably go for king e7. And now the tables have turned. So he also commented that if the kings would have moved back, in particular e4, e5, king e2, king e7, king e1, king e8, maybe both players could agree on a no castling match, right? Which is also an option. So if white would have moved anything else, and black would have moved something else, and they would go for a non-casting match, as it is already state of the art at the moment, and pretty popular theme too. But they decided, no, this is going to be a draw in the end. And well, Twitter exploded literally once again. I don't like to give the example of Twitter too much, because it's always exploding whatever it is. But Emil Sutovsky, for example, wrote paragraph 12.1, the players shall take no action that will bring the game of chess into disrepute. What a broad term, and what an interesting rule I've never heard of before. I mean, does that mean that there are some chess players which actually shouldn't even play chess, maybe? or where does it start? I mean, where does it go?
I mean, the whole thing is a very if we're just looking at this incident isolated, yes. Okay, I think it is fun, okay, and it was fun to see it that these top level players can have a laugh. But Emil also does have a point, right? In that you wouldn't see a tennis match, if both guys had qualified, mess around, right? They would still play to the
with tennis it's difficult. I think it's always
with tennis it's difficult. Sorry, I need to find an equivalent sport where you can do this.
Yeah, but I get your part, and of course I understand what you're meaning. I also understand Emil's point, and this is probably also a nice thing that this happened, because there is a lot of controversy in so many ways. And there are countless examples of where you're disrespectful of what you're doing. So let me give you an example. When I'm blitzing some games against one and the same person, and the person has already won 5 games against me with ease, and then in the 6th game, the person decide to play king e2, right? To go like, hell, I can even beat you with this opening, right? Then it goes into a little bit of disrespectfulness, if there's a word like that. On the other hand, and this is what makes the thing so nice. I think it's very character-wise chosen. It's very subjective. So everybody has a different view about this. And if Hikaru wouldn't have laughed and Magnus wouldn't have laughed about this, and if they're not the persons who they are, well, just imagine Hikaru going like, well, that is really not nice of you. And then just trying to stomp Magnus, or the other way around. I mean, this is kind of this flamboyant moment, what you are used to. Let's give an example. Football, back in the days, where there were enfants terribles and people who were just like very crazy or fun looking at and having extreme... who was it? René Higuita? Do you follow football?
Yeah, a little bit.
So there was this Colombian goalkeeper.
I know he did the
scorpion kick. Yeah, and I think in these days, if somebody would do this, the people would go like, "Listen, if you do this one more time, I don't know what you wanted to do with this, but don't do that. Don't." It is something which people discuss about, and in the end, which might bring chess to a couple of more people. Yeah, I've been talking and rambling all the time.
No. You make some very valid points. I mean, it was flamboyant. It was a bit of fun. I think it really shouldn't be a regular thing, though, because the concept of bringing the game into disrepute and making a mockery, there is some validity to that argument. So it was nice they had some fun, but we need to make sure that it's, it was basically a one-off situation. And you can, the question of, well, isn't it the same when they do this 12-move Berlin draw? Well, to a certain extent, it is. Yeah, to a certain extent, it's the same thing, except that in that scenario, it's really not a prearranged draw because you can deviate and you can even play suboptimal moves there with black. If you want to, that carries on. But in this instance, there wasn't really a way to deviate. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, I have to say. I don't think I don't think it should be repeated, but yeah, at least it.
Yes, but it's nice that you also have a different opinion about this, and I think this is what makes things like this also interesting. And yeah, and then it even lands on the news page, and I am talking about this and bringing this up because I thought like it's interesting to see how other people think about this and what their opinion about this is. Lawrence,
yes,
that was it.
That was it. That was fun. I enjoyed it very much.
Me too. I hope we can do this on a regular basis.
Me too.
Because it was a bit longer than I expected it to be, but that's the problem about all of this. I think we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. And in the end, it's for the viewer or for the people who are listening to this to get an idea, to look at the articles, check out some, I don't know, Fritz trainers, some interesting positions, look at the players like Christopher Yu in the internet, stuff like that, just to get you a bit more interactive into the end of this weekend and have a good time with the ChessBase news. Lawrence.
Yes.
Thanks so much.
You're welcome. I'm looking forward to the next one.
Yeah, hope to see you soon, my friend.
I'll see you soon. Okay, guys, take care.
Ciao,
Cheers.
ciao.